Let's position this right. And this is a painting I started the other day. So here's a painting I started the other day. And we're just going to continue on with it. Just finished the gym, so I have this tank top on. I like to go to the gym straight in the mornings. Knocked out a 3-mile run. And then went to the gym for about an hour. And now I'm ready to get some painting in today before a Fraturday. A Fraturday is working on a Friday night and working into Saturday morning. Call that a Fraturday. So I hope you're all doing fantastic. Been working on this arm here. I do these simple paintings, but you know, I like to work with color a lot, so this isn't like the typical arm that you might see in another place. And of course, you know, sometimes I work and rework paintings, but for now, popping open my supplies, and that's one thing about oil painting. One thing about oil painting is you got to be prepared for smells. Oil painting is not without its negatives, and by negatives I mean you have to really be prepared to work with scents and smells and all that. And I need to get my hair out of my face, so let me find a hair tie. I need to find a hair tie real quick. Cat, did you move that hair tie? Huh? What? Where? So one thing is I've been growing out my hair. This is a fairly new thing for me. I had like the same short haircut from when I was like 11 years old until I was 28. And by the way, this is not my arm, but from when I was like 11 years old to 28, I had like the same exact hair. And you know, it's only recently that I started like asking myself, like, why do I have that hairstyle? So, you know, I thought I'd grow out my hair. And I usually just put it in this little troll bun here. So, little troll bun, I call this. Little fountain troll bun. This is the type of hair you put babies in when they're just starting to grow out their hair and you want to keep it out of their face. I don't really know how to do it any other way. Like, my hair's at a weird length, because if I put it further back, the front hair that I need to stay out of my face kind of still falls on my face. It's not long enough to like go all the way in the back. So I have to do this type of thing because my goal ultimately is to keep my hair out of my face while I'm painting. So today's theme, though, that I really want to talk about is the idea that every creative thought, and by the way, I didn't come up with this. I credit, why am I forgetting his name? Rick Rubin. He wrote the book, The Creative Act, and he's really well-known music producer, probably one of the most successful music producers of the 80s, 90s, and today. But he wrote about this idea that every thought can be considered a creative thought. And that really stood out to me because there's a lot of people who feel as if they are not creative. And at the end of the day, human beings are creative beings. And you know, you might not be creative as far as like, you know, coming up with surreal artwork, but you could still be considered creative as a business person, as a creative business person, as, you know, someone as a cook, a chef, as a parent. You can be creative in so many different ways, not just like an artist, that a typical artist that paints. And that's like one of my favorite takeaways from that book, is this idea that we all do have this gift of creativity. You just have to know how to transform it. So yeah, so that is the message that I want to start with, even though I started a little late. I usually like to start my streams with the message so that we can get it out right off the bat. But yeah, so here I'm just painting in some of the shadows. I don't know actually what this object is. It doesn't look like a handkerchief like it was previously. So I'm just adding in some darker spaces for shadow. And we're going to play with this color. We're going to... Fortunately, some of this paint's already dry, so I can actually lay down color without mixing it. And ultimately, this really is just an arm. That's what I do. I paint body parts. So here we go. Let's get back into this piece. So I want to add some white. Or you know what? Instead of adding white, let me play with the lemon yellow. Let me play with some lemon yellow to really spice up this color here on the arm. Because I don't necessarily want to use up. I want to, you know, part of what I like to do is to experiment with a variety of color techniques. And, you know, it's so easy to just say, hey, I'm going to paint with white. It's so easy to just say, I'm going to add white into this to make it lighter. And I think where some of the fun challenges when you're starting to paint and starting with different colors is, you know, using different shades, different color values, like say yellow, to create the color. So let's go like this, and we're gonna start to add some of the form a little better. And this is a really thick brush, or a coarse brush, I should say. Coarse would be a better term for it, but we're gonna go in here. I'm gonna start to like put in the shapes and kind of like smooth out some areas and reduce the harshness of the shadows here. Because this is really supposed to be like a blended a little bit. It's supposed to have some skin color with a little bit of shadow. So we're working on that. And let's go like right here. We're gonna push this area. By the way, I hope you all get to do something creative. Eddie Garcia, smiley face, Kuromi, Dazai's wife, cool name. What a great name, Dazai. Dazai. I don't know where that originated from, but it's a great name, Dazai. Very unique. So here we go. This edge is a little bit too harsh, so we're gonna sort of formulate this, not sort of, but we are going to formulate and move this around, spread some of the color around to give it a more natural, more like natural color. One thing that I picked up while working with oil pastel is this idea of really making the effort to push myself as far as color goes, as far as color experimentation. Because with oil pastels, you know, unless you want to get super technical, it doesn't really mix well. Like oil pastel is not a medium. You know, you use it like a crayon, and you can really get technical with it and like mix colors and like create textures and stuff. But most oil pastel, you're not going to be, for standard, like, I guess what's standard, but for the way I use oil pastels, I'm not really mixing the colors. I just use them pretty much as is, and I might layer colors on top of each other.
I'm gonna put the bread in the fridge.
Okay. But at the end of the day, I'm not really blending the colors all the time. And that's one thing that kind of inspired some of the stuff I do now, is really pushing myself to use more colors that you might not see on a typical piece like this. So what's going on? Nalea Diaz. Thank you. Welcome. How are you doing today? How was your Friday, your weekend starting off? Let's hear about it. Let's hear about the start of this wonderful weekend. How's that going? And right here, you can already see the shadows a little bit too harsh. So we're going to clean this brush off. Actually, let's lay down this color right around the bicep here. So these are some super bright colors that really stand out against each other. And right now I'm just going to do a better job of cleaning off this brush. So right now, just cleaning off my brush a bit. And let's go with a softer brush here, because what I want to do this brush has gotten a bit too rough here. Let's go ahead and clean off this brush. Let a lot of paint get caked on. So how I clean. What's up, Lily? You are the only one. You're the only one. Yes. You are the only one here, or you're the only one on the internet? You're the only one who has ever broken a world record. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by just to say that you're the only one. That's awesome. But totally glad you are here. Thanks for jumping in. And with that, so this is a great way to clean. So I use this Master's brush cleaner right here to do cleaning. And then it's just a matter of getting it into the brush crevices. So we got, let's give some shout outs. Eddie Garcia, Linda Newman, Robert Miller, what's going on? Robert, Carol Shields, 42. Zero ZCB, Linda Newman Ta. So one thing about these brushes is these are really good brushes, but if you don't take care of them the right way, they can really start to get caked together. This is one brush that I used like once or twice, and then I hadn't used it after, and I think I just failed to clean it, or maybe it got stuck with another brush. But I'm gonna just kind of split it apart before I give it another clean. I might just need to buy a new one. I don't do really well with these blender brushes. Yeah, I have a pretty hard time keeping these in good shape. And here we go. So do some splitting, because the paint, once oil paint gets on something and it dries, it can be really challenging to get off. And that's why I use a glass palette. I don't know if you can see down here, but a glass palette makes it really easy to just scrape off. I went through like 10 acrylic palettes, which, you know, acrylic's good for acrylic, but for oil, not all paints are made the same, you know, so oil paint is totally different. And right now I'm just working on separating some of the hairs. By the way, this isn't really the best way to do it, but you know, the best way is to just buy a new brush. Once the hairs start to kind of get stuck. But I'm gonna go ahead and just do it anyway. So here we go. Honestly, one of the few things that I actually enjoy doing is cleaning. Cleaning when I'm cleaning my painting supplies. So we're gonna give this another clean down. Just get in here. And this should renew it pretty well, a little better than it was. So Eddie Garcia, Mary Vin, what's going on? Taylor, Linda Newman. Let's do this. So we're gonna go down right in here. This is my painting thing. Okay, and here we go. Let's do this a little bit more. I really want to see how I can push this. You know, this is like one of those like rewarding things that you could just get distracted doing. Kind of like an Asmir. If I was just did this really close up and zoomed in and like showed the pulling apart of these fibers, it's kind of relaxing in a way. It's calming in a very weird way. And I could probably get distracted by this doing it for a long time. So we're not going to do it too much longer, but it's like once you start, you just don't want to stop. So here we go. This side's not as bad. Got a couple hairs over here, so let's just split this apart a little bit. Try to get this back to original shape. Look at that, it's actually working. And you know, once you feel these brushes, you could tell that this is a really high quality brush. Let's compare this to some other brushes I have. So wow, I'm surprised at how well this brush has turned out. Once you do some of the splitting, really high quality brush. This is a Rosemary & Co. brush. Rosemary & Co. They're one of the top makers of oil painting brushes, just high quality brushes in general. I believe these are badger hairs. I don't know how they source their badgers, but these brushes are really good. I'm sure it's ethical. but they're a company out in the UK. So, you know, I guess I'm sure it's very ethical because it's hard to raise badgers, right? But these badger hairs are so good. I'm guessing the way badger hairs work is they work very well with natural oils. So I actually want to do this one more time. Actually, you know what? Let's just get started. Let's get back into painting. C-Bond 2, what's going on? You like the detail on the muscles. Thanks. So we're just cleaning off this brush. I'm going to throw some oil on it. What's the brush name again? Rosemary & Co. So this brush is a Rosemary & Co. brush. They have a set here. Let me actually show you. These are really amazing brushes, by the way. So let me show you. Let me show you a comparison of a cheap brush compared to a Rosemary & Co. brush. You can totally tell the difference. Like day and night, your Rosemary & Co. brushes are going to last way longer. So I'm going to get 2 Rosemary & Co. brushes and then 2, let's see. I'm trying to find another brush. That's a good example. All right, so I've got 5 brushes here. I can't count. That's why I paint. No, I'm just kidding. So I got 5 brushes here. This is actually a pretty decent, you know, just an entry-level brush that you can get from Michaels. And you know, I've used this quite a bit, but you could see, I don't know if you could tell or feel, but it's a little stiff. And I use this once in a while, depending on the texture that I'm trying to get. But these are both, you know, we're gonna get 2 flat brushes here, and it might be hard to see, but this has like less of a spring to it. If you can just tell, there's like a little bit more stiffness in this. So if I try to like spread this apart, you can see it's kind of like got chunks, but these fibers still really do a good job of maintaining their thinness. So I don't know if you can imagine, but this is definitely softer and it does a better job of maintaining this thinness, which is very helpful. Whereas, you know, this brush is a little cheaper, but it's still a decent brush that I use. But a lot of the fibers kind of get stuck together. So this is for like a specific type of brush mark that you want to make. And here's the really, like, you know, the really cheap brushes that I use just for like spreading large areas of paint. Now this is really stiff. All the fibers are pretty much together. But if I do a bit of cleaning, I can separate them, you know, and I could still use them for different purposes. I save my brushes. I can still use them for different purpose. But look at this. So, I mean, you can totally tell the differences by looking at the tips. All right, fire people, can you go save someone's life later, please? Just kidding. Anyway, you can see just by the tips alone, this is the expensive brush, the Rosemary & Co. The quality of the fibers, it's like very good. You know, it still maintains its thinness. But this one, the fibers stick together, and this like, and I've cleaned all of these in the same way before, and you know, these are like good little starter brushes. This is definitely an investment that you might want to make if you get more serious in painting. But let me just show you one more example here, a better example. So these are three of the same blender brushes, the fan blender brushes, and you could instantly tell the quality. Now this one I just cleaned, so it's a little bit different, but you can see on this brush, like it's soft and it bends, right? Like it still has its texture, still has its fine fibrousness, and I just cleaned it. Now these I've cleaned before, but it doesn't really do a good job. Like you'd see these fibers have already kind of like, this would be good for like painting grass. You know, if you wanted to like, needed like a very rough texture, you would use this. If you want to just blend something subtly, I would use this. And this one, I mean, I think if I cleaned it, it might be a little better, but it is super stiff. Like, you know, so every brush can still have its own purpose, but if you really want some really high quality brushes, Rosemary & Co. is definitely the way to go. Rosemary & Co. Fan Series 105. So I was actually surprised at how good that this cleaned up. So I threw some oil on it, and right now I'm just gonna play with it. So let's go like this. I'm gonna take some, just kind of spread some of the color around. This is really good if you're like, you know, blending clouds and stuff, but I just feel like using it right now. If you're like doing something wispy, but this helps me to basically just kind of like smooth out some of the rougher spaces that come about because of my painting style. And I try to use Rosemary and Co brushes a lot, but you know, I can't help but enjoy, like, a Rosemary and Co brush isn't really going to give these like interesting textures. Like, you know, if you're like a rougher painter, if you like really love to, you know, just go out there and just get loose with your painting, Rosemary and Co brushes aren't really going to do that. Rosemary and Co brushes are really good if you just gotta like just, you know, you're very gentle and you know you want to paint like these beautiful soft edges, and they have a variety. There's some brushes that are a bit rougher and harder, but you know, if you just want like soft edges and like a soft, if you're painting like portraits or something, and you just want to be very delicate and like precise with everything, I mean, Rosemary and Co brushes are the way to go. But you know, if you're a little bit brusque like myself, Alexa, what's the definition of brusque?
Brusque is an adjective that describes something as being abrupt, blunt, or rough in manner. For example, a person who speaks without delicacy or delicacy might be described as brusque.
Yeah, so if you're a bit more of a brusque painter, you're not delicate. Rosemary and Co brushes are really just another tool in the bucket rather than a means to the whole painting. But again, you can't you can totally tell the quality with the Rosemary and Co brush compared to other brushes as far as the longevity goes. And I think that really is because of the badger hair. So the badger hair just does an amazing job of working with oil. I mean, obviously, if you're painting with oil, you need something that works with oil paint. So, you know, I do want to share one other brush that I actually like, one brush company. They do actually do it synthetic. But however they do it in a really nice way. And that's this brush. And this one is actually, the brand came off, but this is a, I can't remember the name, the brand came off. Well, this is a synthetic fiber brush that you could get at Michael's. It's one of their like pack brushes. And these are actually pretty expensive too. And you can't tell right now because I haven't done a good job cleaning it lately. But after I clean it, it actually returns to its like natural state. So maybe I should just demo this. Let me just do a demo since my brush cleaner is still open. So you can see right now that the brushes, the tips are very stuck together. And let me just give this a nice little rinse in here. Nice little rinse. I use this big cleaner because I clean a lot. I tend to like forget my brushes have paint on them, and I'll just leave them in there, and then I might not come back for a couple days, and it's like total chaos on the brush. Just get stuck on it. So there we go. I use a nice little Gatorade bottle to do my rinsing. Get a little rinse in there. And sometimes it might take like a time or two. But yeah, if you're like a rougher painter, if you know, have a certain texture that you want to achieve or whatever, definitely Rosemary and Co brushes are just a tool in the bucket to get a certain effect. All right, so I just gave this brush a nice little cleaning, and as you can see, it did a pretty good job really quickly. No longer is it like totally stuck together. Some of the bristles have come apart. So this is a synthetic fiber, but it's a really good synthetic fiber. You can get it at Michael's, and I'm sure if I gave it another cleaning, it would do even better. But you know, they're not stuck together. So whatever reason, I say that this is a good in-between. A good in-between. Princeton. This is a Princeton brush. The company that makes it is Princeton, but I forget what specific brand. You just gotta look for the synthetic fibers that are black. And so I find this be a good, really good in-between. No, so I use mineral spirits. I have a mineral spirits tub, and I use oil. So I actually clean in my oil as well sometimes. Swax Beats, what's going on? You got a fancy check mark. How do you do that? Look at that. Swax Beats got a check mark. So I find this is a great brush. Oh, no. By the way, to clean, if I need to just rinse off my brush, I'll use mineral spirits. But if I need to clean it, I use this. This is what I use. Master Brush Cleaner. It's a type of soap. And you just literally just rinse water, dip it in there, mix it around, rinse some more water. Sometimes you have to like get into the fibers. So this is what I actually use to clean a brush. But I use mineral spirits as my solvent. And let me clean. I keep distracting. What I wanted to say, this is a great in-between brush between really soft and high-quality Rosemary & Co. brushes and some of the rougher brushes that you might want for a for rougher painting. But yeah, a little cleaning, and for whatever reason, these brushes get back to pretty much standard. That looks interesting. Thanks, Swax. So what's going on with you? How's your day going? So we're going to take some of this yellow, and we're going to go down some of the areas here. And we're just going to bring this down and just start to shape out some of this arm here. Like, it's still, not as delicate as a Rosemary & Co. brush. You can actually see some of the brush marks that are left here. The brush strokes. And actually, I could kind of demo this. I don't know if you actually can see the brush strokes, but when you're up close, you can really see how the lines that are created with this brush. But it's still really good for just getting into certain areas, like right here. If I want to kind of carve out the space here, I can do that. So if I want to get into this space right here.
Pretty.
And Swax, you're just fine. You're scrolling through the random live stream and you found finally some interesting live you've never watched. You love arts. Awesome. Yeah, so by the way, the theme of today's so this is this is all oil paint. But when I said water, I need water to clean it. I need water to clean it because it mixes with this soap. You need water to use this brush cleaner. So thanks for all the questions. I can totally forget to explain some things. But yeah, so I need water to clean my brushes with this tool. And this tool is great for oil. So it says right here, use with water, cleans paint stains and varnishes, wet or dry oil paint, acrylics, alkyds, latex, and more. It's really good. It's really good. So yeah, here we go. So Swax, what are you up to? Are you a live streamer as well? With a name like Swax Beats, you're definitely some type of content creator. I can tell that much. And here we go. Just getting into the arm a bit, and then I will use a Rosemary & Co. brush to start to really put this all together. But right now, still just working out some of the kinks of the design here of this painting, just to make it a bit softer here. I would call this still early in the ugly phase. Still an early part of the ugly phase. And here we go. So right into there. This piece, there's a lot of detail in this. And I'm gonna basically, I need to blend this out, this section right here. All right, that's enough of this brush. And we're gonna clean this off and we're gonna get back to our Rosemary & Co. brushes. You're an animator, dude. That's great. You have your comics on YouTube? Yeah, thanks. So this is actually a series I'm doing. Let me share some of my other work. Oh no. So this is a series I'm working on of arms and stuff. So I just did a bunch of them, and we're gonna do another one, show another one that I finished yesterday. So here's another one that I finished yesterday. I like to do the arms in totally different colors. Just a variety of different colors, and I love just putting in movement and action. Never, just leaving the arm all gentle and cute. So anyway, thank you. Yeah. So Maddie joined. What's going on, Maddie? And by the way, for those of you wondering, I am multi-streaming on YouTube and TikTok. So like, if you're wondering, whoa, who's this guy randomly talking to? They're not chatting here. That's because I am on multiple platforms right now. So let's pick a brush here. Let's find a good brush for what I'm about to need. Clean off this piece. So what are your animations about, Swax? Feel free to give us a plug. Plug your greatest creations, your most proud ideas. This is totally a commercial-friendly live stream. Anyone can just jump in here and hijack this with whatever ideas, as long as it contributes to the room. Not, I don't want like a debate, but I don't want to be pitched personally. But if you have things, if you have a stream, if you have a Twitch channel, if you have an OnlyFans, you could talk about it right now. If you sell Cutco knives, or what's the knife company? The MLM knife company? Is it Cutco? If you sell Cutco knives, feel free to talk about that. I don't participate in MLMs myself, but hey, if that's what you do, welcome. That's what you do. So here we go. Brushes take a lot of maintenance. So Gecko's Got Games. Dang, pretty nice art, more skill. More skill. Wow. I really, thank you. I like to see it as different skill than someone else has, rather than more skill. So I'm using this yellow. I'm really experimenting with using yellow instead of white to create a sense of dimension on these pieces. I'm really experimenting with yellow, at least on this orange, just to give it this highlight. Because I use so much white that, you kind of become dependent on it. and I don't like to totally depend on like a any certain concept or thing. So using this, and I'm gonna blend this into the form here. We're gonna create the shape. And gonna round this out to make it a little bit more natural here. But yeah, totally. Everybody's got a different skill. That was the whole premise of today's live log. So I highly recommend this book for any artist, anybody who like. If you feel like you're not a creative person, you should definitely listen to this book. But it's called Creative Act by Rick Rubin. And it's basically this book by a very successful music producer, one of the most successful. Alexa, who did Rick Rubin produce?
Frederick J. Rubin, better known as Rick Rubin, is an American record executive and producer. He created Def Jam recordings and has produced hit records in various genres, from hip-hop to rock, metal, alternative, and country.
Yeah, so he created Def Jam Records. I think that speaks enough in itself, right? But yeah, so even if that's not your genre, even if Def Jam Records is not, the type you're not into hip hop or rap, I think it's a worthwhile book to check out because he talks about a lot of like things that an artist would definitely feel doubts about. It's very eye-opening, and just the people in general, our deepest fears as creative people, he seems to have insight on. And here we go. So I was able to add a bit more dimension on top of this orange. This part's still a little funky, but there's a lot going on here. So, I'm going to stick with this and eventually go over that. But for now, let's go into this section. And I need a finer brush to touch up these fingers. Let's get a little bit more yellow into this space right here. Actually, you know what? It should be like a yellow-orange here.
Bye.
All right, later, babe.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. All right. Oh, yeah, you're not coming back today? Today? All right. I will see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
So we're going to make this a bit more subtle of a transition here.
Alex is coming by to drop off the keys. Alex?
Okay.
You hear me?
Yeah, when?
Did you hear me?
Yes, when?
Around noon?
Okay, I'm going to be here till 1. And there we go. So, oh yeah, you got my dimension down. You're curious, is this freeform or based off an idea / photo? So this is actually based off of a reference. Good question. So I pretty much always use references for like my any work that requires like a life, whether it's myself or something else. But there's this great book that teaches you drawing. It's called So this book itself is based on another book, and this book is based on Charles Berg's collection of plates, and this is a classical drawing style, and basically this teaches. It was originally a drawing lesson book, and so basically instead of drawing, because I do lots of drawing already, I'm actually doing these but painting them. So I'm coming up with my own design for them and painting them. And yeah, there are definitely references. I almost always use a reference. If I don't use a reference, I pretty much have to use a reference. But that said, that's where it's all from. This is an entire series based on these studies. So here's the fun fact though. Vincent van Gogh is actually the first, so his company, his brother's company, Goupil AC, was the first publisher of the original book. And supposedly Vincent van Gogh learned how to draw through all of these drawings. And what I love about the book is there's no words. I know I'm very wordy right now, but I love that this book is explained, like, so it doesn't even have to talk about it. But, and by the way, this book, not this one specifically, this is a reprint of all his plates. I think they're in a public domain. You can actually find the original book online for free, just letting you know. Just look up Charles Berg drawing book, and you can find it online for free. It's in a public domain. But I like to have the physical version, so I was willing to buy this book. But you can find it online for free if budget is a problem. But anyway, like, look at this. This is great. Some books, I'm explaining a lot right now and I'm talking a lot, but I love a good drawing book that could teach you to draw without words. And that's what this is, because at the end of the day, drawing is a visual medium. If you can explain how to draw without telling, I think that's a beautiful thing. Chaz Baird? Who's Chaz Baird? So look at this. It starts with these simple eyes, these simple small eyes, and little by little, you move on to like a side profile here. My fingers are kind of oily, so I'm having trouble flipping the pages. So you go to the bigger eyes, and then you move on to feet at some point. Let's see. You do like side feet, side. I did a lot of feet. I drew all these feet. You move on to arms, and then eventually you get like these bigger and bigger projects, like full human body figures, and essentially you want to be able to draw these. But it just builds up little by little. But I just love how it's like slowly builds up. Oh, so the name of this book, it's a French word. I think it's called Cours de dessin, which is a drawing course for drawing. This book, again, it's a reprint. The name of this book is The Ultimate Berg Drawing Collection. So this is a reprint. They took all of his work and just reprinted it. And I think it's funny. I don't really like when people do this, but I don't really like when publishers do this. So they said right here, no portion of this book may be reproduced in any form without permission from the publisher except as permitted. But here's the funny thing is this book is actually in a public domain. It's like free for anybody. So I think that's a little bit unethical, but whatever. It's a good book. It's formatted well. It's got good pages. It's high quality. So I will say that this is just a little rant about the ethics of taking public domain work and trying to claim that it is your property. But maybe they add their own spin to it. Anytime someone puts their own spin to works, they deserve it. So whatever. A really good way to challenge yourself. Respect the knowledge. Just thrifted a book about drawing fantasy. You're a DM for lots of years and you'd like to learn how to draw your own monsters and ideas. Dude, that's awesome. What a great way to expand for your people. So let's see. Bring down some yellow into here. And you can see that this Rosemary & Co. brush is a bit softer. Maybe you can see that. Not sure. But it creates like a much more curved... Like, because the brushes are thin, they're very densely populated, so there's not as many little bristle marks as a typical brush. As you can tell, I really like Rosemary & Co. I would definitely buy more. So, There we go. All right. We're done with this brush. Let's get into some of the fingers. Spec, no notifications. Want to pop in more often? You might have to go. Hey, yeah, take care. Take care. Thank you. So, yeah, right on. It's good to get these, get these YouTube communities. It's awesome. Yeah, well, part of my goal is just share as much as possible. I'm not really like a learning channel. I don't really, want to teach drawing on my channel. Like if someone asked me, I would, but my goal for my live streams is just a record of a creative journey, the record of a creative journey. So here we go. We're gonna move into the fingers because they have definitely been holding up. Holding up the painting from looking complete and tight. And here we go. This is one of the Princeton brushes. Again, synthetic fiber, black, but it's a little bit bouncy. It's a little bit springy, has some elasticity, but it maintains its shape so well. Like, hey, let's look at this other brush that I have. And these brushes are totally different. They're probably about the same price. Let me see this other brush. They have the different purposes, but you could just tell like all the different qualities of brushes. This is also a Princeton brush, but this is a different fiber. This is a different material. So you can see this kind of like maintains its shape, and this one kind of like has spread out a bit. Maybe it's the way I cleaned it. I don't know. But if you're going for like a Princeton brush, I would say go for the ones with the black synthetic fibers over the ones that are just regular. If you're doing oil painting, maybe this holds up better for acrylic. I don't know. But this is really, this is an oil paint brush, but again, total difference. I use it for different purposes. And when I'm actually like sketching, I use this a lot. But, you can see quality differences for sure. All right, geckos. So I didn't quite catch it. Did you say that you're live streaming as well, or do you do animation? But do you live stream your animations? So I have some work that I got to do on here. This part needs work. So let's go ahead and start sketching out, fixing this space right here. And we're gonna go like this. Pop this down. I use the word pop a lot. I don't know why. And here we go. We're going to start bringing in some of the highlights right around this knuckle here. I'm just bringing in some highlights. That was the other guy. The other guy did animation? Oh, yeah. Okay, my bad. Yes. Swax does animation. Okay, cool. So here we go. We're going to go to the tip of this finger here. And we need to bring this finger down. So this is going to be a knuckle that comes up. Knuckle right here. So I think what really needs to happen is that this part needs to come down just a bit further in. So that's one thing about painting though. that I really enjoy is that it's very forgiving in the sense that if you do make mistakes, you have a lot of time and room to fix them. This needs to be a much smaller, shorter finger. So we're gonna mark the spot right here where it needs to be, and then that gives me room to modify this pinky a bit because this pinky is a little too big. So this pretty much needs to be like that. All right, cool. So I know what I got to do after looking at this for a little bit. A lot of times I have to like step back and like not paint for a day or two to really see the errors, but you wish you could animate your writer with some other skills. Voice changer. You change voice accents? That's awesome. So what do I think about graffiti art? Too poor to get into it, but really love to. You know, and Los Angeles is just filled. I mean, it depends on what city you live in. And you know, I know that sounds weird because it doesn't really depend on what city you live in. There could be graffiti art anywhere, but I think depending on what city you live in, it may or may not be as accessible. So I live in Los Angeles, and you know, the reason why I brought that up about the city you live in is, you know, Los Angeles is definitely a city filled with graffiti art, and a lot of it is really good. But at the same time, if I was in another city, I could imagine that the graffiti art is not as good. You know what I mean? Like, there's some really great artists out in Los Angeles, which, you know, just that's not the case for every city, unfortunately. So right here, I'm gonna start shaping out this hand a little better. So I'm looking right here, and this needs to be like right there as far as the knuckle goes. So I'm gonna crop this down a little bit here, and we're gonna round this out. And then let's go in here. And then we got to move this finger a little bit up. Yeah, graffiti art is great. So you live in the middle of nowhere, so yeah. So like, you know, I live in LA. I like graffiti art because, you know, there's a lot of really great muralists and graffiti art. There's a lot of, I've definitely met a few artists who, you know, have their own brand of graffiti. So, you know, it's hard to really compare to other cities. Now, I'm not like a graffiti traveler. I know some people actually travel and like really admire a lot of the graffiti all over the place, but I don't really do that. And, you know, there's some aficionados. I wouldn't call myself a graffiti aficionado, but definitely a good tagging artist is great. So we're gonna go like this, and then bring this down. I'm still working out this section here. It's a really hard angle for the hand. And let's see, so right here, let's go into here and get some of the other areas to make sure there's like no white space that kind of pops out here. But yeah, you love graffiti. Just wish you could do things you're more passionate about, such as that. West Virginia, there's nothing here at all. Only entertainment is games and no community, nothing. Yeah, that's hard, dude. You're in West Virginia and you want to be an artist? What's like the closest art community to you? I know Vermont. I know Vermont has a very good art community. As far as I don't know how close that is to West Virginia though. So I do want to say I am lucky that LA has a very good graffiti scene because it really gives you an opportunity to like see what's out there, what's really around. But who knows? Maybe you could start it, get into just doing murals and stuff. That's the closest thing you have for art. My goodness, dude. I mean, are you sure that in your there's literally in your town there's like no artists that are working at all, like no animators, no retired artist communities, nothing? Like, have you tried to look? I know that sounds like a dumb question because surely you have. You know your town better than anyone, but better than I do. But it's just hard to believe that any town like doesn't have like a nearby art scene that you kind of get involved in. But maybe it's just because I've lived in LA for mostly well-known art communities for a while now that it's hard to imagine. Like I even went to Vermont, and Vermont was pretty busy as far as art goes. And this hand still needs some work. I'm not quite exactly how this is going to get fixed, but we will figure it out. I think the overall shape is starting to improve, but this totally looks really jacked up. So let's see how I can do this. All right. Now what I gotta do. I think I gotta not be precious with this pinky, and I might just have to move everything up a little bit. So let's go like this. Let's start to modify this pinky here. We're gonna cut everything, and we're gonna go. I was gonna go like this. Go just a little bit up. We really got to push this piece. This is why drawing is really important, people, by the way. For me, well, for everybody, but like, if you get the sketch right at the beginning, you don't have to do this extra work that I'm doing now. All right, so let's see. Legend Lucifer, what's up, Legend? How you doing? Thank you. Thanks for joining in and join us in this conversation with Gecko's Got Games. So the town is called Weston, West Virginia. Couldn't hurt to start the community. Art classes. Near the highway, we have fashion and fast food hotels here in actual town. Oh, that sucks. Good people, but they have no way out, People like trying to make it through the day, but it's rough here. Only benefits, we don't have most of the country's drama, no riots or protests. Well, that's positive. What was the name of the book? So, the name of the book, what was the name of the book? I'll actually write it down on here. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm gonna write it right here. C O U R S. I believe I'm spelling it right. Core de. It's a French word. It's originally a French word. And the author's name is Charles Baird. G-U-E. So Charles Baird. This book is just the ultimate Berg drawing collection. Let's see, do I want to look it up? Screenshot that real quick. Anyway, man, you just love. Hey, take care. No, really appreciate you being here and, sharing some of your thoughts. That's what I'm here for. Like, people got challenges in their life, and, the more and more I stream, the more and more I realize, like, as a streamer, that's part of what I do, is just providing a outlet. There's a lot of people that love art, but it's just not easy to find. It's not easy to find their tribe. I've always had the fortune of living in larger neighborhoods and communities. I've lived in a few big cities, but I can't imagine what it would be like if I was in a town and wanted to do arts, but just couldn't. But that's what the internet's for. Fortunately for the internet, we can all find our tribe. And I'm still trying to figure out this pinky. So maybe what I gotta do is I really gotta punch this up a little bit. Fortunately for oil paints, you can constantly work and rework a section. So we're gonna push this wrist up a little bit. And we're gonna bring the wrist over and make the hand a little bit smaller. So we're doing a paint over here, some of the area. You know what? When there's a dream, there's a way, dude. When there is a dream, there is a way. So chill. Anything I talk about just feels relatable. Oh, cool. Well, hey. Thank you. Yeah, well, hey, totally thanks for being here, man. Or woman. I'm guessing you're a man. I don't know. I feel like someone that comes up with the name, or however you identify, Gecko's Got Games. I'm guessing that is a very a masculine channel name. So here we go. I think the hand's getting a little better. This part is still a little jacked up, so I need to adjust this. And I think once we get that part, we'll be good to go. But still just adjusting this hand. So I need to bring out my yellow. And I think what I gotta do is I gotta carve out this piece right here. Let's carve this out. Let's see, how do we do this? We go right here. And go right there with a knuckle. So that's what I'm missing too, is I need these knuckles in here. Just give them the idea of a knuckle right now. Eventually we will define it a little better, but for now, just need the form a little better so that I can better establish where the lines need to go. And we'll go like that. And that kind of gives me where I need to carve out my hand. So let's throw some yellow onto here, just to give some dimension to this. And let's see, screenshot, chill. All right, cool. So Hoff stage, Sarah Smiles, Skew Klimeroff, Flower or Butterfly or Bee has joined. Donald Mullen. Let's see who's here. Yeah, all right, wonderful people. So user 936, Lou, Allison Ravenhold, AA Wilton, Biddy Cat, Kimberly Zamora, Misty Florida, Brightwell Aquatics, Wendy, Jasmine, Amelie, Chad, user 437, Quantrell, Zero, Marvin, Bells, all you great people, thank you. Great to see all of you. So, as you can tell right now, I'm fixing mistakes. All these mistakes happen in the drawing phase. And if I had just been more accurate with my drawing, I could probably avoid most of these mistakes, but I wasn't. So what do? Do you make a fuss like I'm doing, or do I just fix it? So anyway, that's the question. That is the question that we're answering here. Yellow is a great joining color for all of this. I don't know what this is. This looks like a lion's hand or something, or paw of some sort. Let's see. And we're eventually gonna carve this out. TTPD era. TTPD era. What is TTPD era? I feel like now that I know you're a huge Swiftie, I feel like TTPD has to do with the Eras tour. In my... Because her current album is the Tortured Artists or Poets Society or whatever. So it's not TTPD. Those aren't the initials. So it's got to be something else. And let's go ahead and keep adjusting this finger until we finally get it. We will get this finger, and once we start to get this finger, I feel like everything is just going to come together. It'll just come together. Yeah, there we go. That looks a little better. And there we go. Yeah, I'm liking this. I'm liking where this is at. All right. Now let's see how else I can continue to tighten this up. Need to bring in the shadows for the fingers. So let's bring in some shadows again for some of these fingers. And knock out some problem solving. So we're going to mix some of this brown with the orange here. Oh, some of that color's already dried. Let's go like this. So this is the shadow. I'm going back and doing some of these shadows and adjusting them. And let's go like here. Once we start to paint in these shadows, I think it'll come together a bit better. Okay. So this knuckle needs to be like right there. And I'm going to sketch out some of the veins here. So, sketching out some of the veins. And here we go. And we're going to go through this. Let's see. This part needs some dark shadows. Let's do this right here. Right in here. I feel like that's all painting really is sometimes, just constantly working, especially if you're just doing like off the cuff. Just working section after section and continually building out the shadow, the light areas and the dark areas. Alexa, what time is it?
It's 10:53 a.m.
And eventually this will come together very, very nicely. So here we go. This part still looks like one piece, and I think what needs to happen, let's see, why does this still look like one piece? This part still needs to be a little darker. needs to be some separation there. And that's why. So this finger needs to come up a bit. So let's get the shadow. Let's put the shadows back in a bit. And that's one great thing about this book as far as like how to learn to draw is that, you know, you only have one thing. One thing you got to do is just look at something. And that's all really, like, you know, a lot of art and drawing is. You just got to look at this. And you just got to just study it, look at it, and just see and compare. And it really teaches you your perceptions. And, you know, this was before, like, I don't know if they had projectors at this time. And I know Vermeer had a lot of technology that he used in order to do his amazing artwork. But, you know, this really does a good job of like teaching your eyes how to like start to see and just compare and evaluate what you're seeing if you have someone in front of you that you're drawing. So just working and reworking some areas. And this will start to come together as we go. Now there are some people that might try to do this in one sitting, but because my sketch was so off, I definitely am going to need more time with it. So it's probably going to take me another day or two, but at least, you know, you have the foundation of what it's going to look like. And I'm probably going to paint over a lot more areas still. But for now, I just want to get this natural shape of the arm here. It's my thinking noise. It's the noise that I make when I'm downloading information. So here we go. Once we can tighten up this pinky, will be great. So let's go. I just want to lay down some more paint here. Let's give an expressive movement here. We're going to do that anyway. I usually like to do all the expressive marks after I'm finished because I really like to just see like the realism and then, you know, just get loose and crazy afterwards, but why not? Bam, 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 bam. You can see the work being put here. So let's go like this, and this is the blue. I'm gonna wipe off this brush again. I really love using this brush, by the way, as good as Rosemary Co. brushes are. As good as they are, I do love using this Princeton brand brush. So I want to tighten up the hand again. I need to get a little deeper into this hand and to carve away at some of this. So I'm going to carve away at this hand. Let's go up. I'm not going to be shy with this paint here. I think that hand is still starting to look a little better. I can finally see this little transition here. Now this still kind of looks like a blob, but I think at some point, once I start to add some of the highlights, it'll all work out and we will be just dandy. But that's the thing, you know, you just gotta sometimes trust the process. And when I say trust the process, I mean know that at some point, if you keep working at it, you'll be able to find out how to adjust something. And here we go. So cleaning off this brush again, and I really want to finally nail down this hand a little bit better. So I'm gonna pull out some of this yellow. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 11 a.m.
Hannah, what's going on? Oh my god. Oh my god. Alright, OMG. Can you have my spit to clone me? Yeah. Do you have access to a cloning laboratory? You totally could. So anyway, that is such an amazing comment. Thank you so much. I love sci-fi. So here we are. We are gonna push this and finally see if we can make this pinky area look more pinky-like. It's a little better. And we're going to carve some into here. Let's get this hand to look a bit more hand-like. So we're going to reduce some of the shadows here. Oh my god. That needs to be blocked. So we're gonna go let's clean off this brush. And you know, one thing that's crazy about painting is like even the smallest detail can really have a huge impact. Like this piece right here makes the hand look kind of weird, like there's no transition. So all I need to do is just paint and create this edge. It starts to look like a more natural hand. All right, let's see. What do I need to do? What needs to happen? So this is where the thumb kind of comes down. You know what? I think I need a break from working on this hand, so we're gonna leave it at this at its current state. We'll come back to it another day. But I will draw this next sketch of a leg. So I think if we're gonna use orange here, Let's go with a red and blue. And this should be like a purple. It's so black. Let's add some white, and we're gonna lighten this. So I want to get a purple. I haven't done like a purple arm yet. Where's all my whites have been used up? Ugh. There we go. Actually, no, this is probably still very good if I go for the outline here. It's a very skinny leg. And then we're gonna go down, starting another piece right now. I've been looking at this arm for far too long. So this is a little too long. That's probably 1.5 times that. Let's see. Let's do this. So I'm measuring. You can actually measure with your thumb. You got to stick your arm straight out so that your elbow locks so you don't change distances. And then you kind of just measure with your thumb. So 1.5. So this needs to be 1.5 times that. 1.5. So the knee needs to go right around here. Alright, so we're going to bring this down like right there. And this will be about 1, 1, 2, 1, 2 and yeah, that's about right. Pop this down, bring that over, come a bit lower. Feet shouldn't go too far past the knee. Let's go like this. So it's actually going to come up a bit right around here. And this foot will come along. I'll probably make this a little bigger. Let's go like this. And let's go like this. And there we go. So we got that. I'm gonna paint in some of the shadows for now. I mean, this is already a pretty dark color, so it's gonna have an effect on the overall piece. But I might as well just start with it. And here we go. And bring this down. Just have to round these out. So here we go. A little bit of this on the other side too. So no real shadow on this side, but we will have a little bit more on this to show the calf here. You know what? Now's a good time for me to take a break. Right now's a good time for a little break. Might be back. Actually, probably won't be back for the day, but I definitely reached a point where after a long active morning, my focus on my attention to specific detail. You know, it's one of those things where you can kind of like, where you got to know yourself. And painting wise, art wise, you know, I've reached a point where like I feel like what I'm actually doing is I'm not capturing enough detail anymore. And you know, you just got to know yourself when it comes to some of the artwork. Comes to making your own art. Especially when I know I got to rework this. That's the one great thing about oil painting is, you know, even after when you're done or whenever you need to finish, you can always come back to it and work on it at another time. You know, they always say oil painters work in layers. Now you could do, you know, right there on the spot and finish your painting, but usually it takes time. And that's one great thing about oil painting is you can always come back later. But I wrapped up my stuff for now. I'm gonna take a little break here. And for those of you that tuned in, thank you. And we'll be back in another time. Thanks for being here.